I'm Dylan Black. It's time to meet the author of The Beatles in India. He spent time with the band, and now we spend time with him. Let's say hello to Paul Saltzman, joining us right here on Daytime. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Dylan?
I'm great. Now, when did this take place?
1968.
Okay. Were you a fan of the band before?
Yeah, I saw them live in Toronto, Maple Leaf Gardens in 1964, and their music had already impacted me, going way back to we would dance at our parties to their early rock and roll. And then in 66, when Revolver came out, and I mean, all their music was in a certain way life-changing and groundbreaking. But certainly their music sort of opened doors in my perceptions.
And having a chance to spend a week with them obviously changed you a little bit. We'll get into that. But now, why did you go to India, primarily?
I went to India because I woke up one morning in Montreal working for the National Film Board of Canada, and I actually had a shocking thought that there were parts of myself I didn't like, and I thought I was doing fine in life. And for whatever reason, I was drawn to go to India. And it was a life-changing experience. It was an intuition. It was an inner guidance that was worked well.
Okay, so how did you know that the Beatles were there?
I didn't. Sorry, it's something.
That's okay. Yeah. You just had a chance you were staying there, then all of a sudden you realized the Beatles were there?
No, I was, I'll just grab my cough drop. I'm just getting over
yeah,
a little
that's
bit
okay.
of a cold.
But people, of course, can go to your website for thebeatlesinIndia.com to find out more, of course, of all the amazing stories that you've got and all these amazing pictures that you took as well. But so you just showed up and then you realized the Beatles were there at one point.
Sorry to your sound people.
That's okay.
Is it possible to get a little something to drink?
It might be a bit of a challenge right now, but we can definitely try to do that, of course. Somebody's going to try to grab something for you.
So what happened was I went to India. I worked on a National Film Board of Canada film. And my girlfriend and I were much in love with each other before I went. I cried, she cried. We didn't want to part. It was really quite tough. And I got to India and I worked on the film for 6 weeks. Got my first letter from her, opened it up excitedly, and the first line was, "Dear Paul, I've moved in with Henry."
Wow.
And that's because she had said, if you leave me, I'll make myself stop loving you. I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
You know, we hear what we want to hear. And someone said, why don't you try meditation for the heartbreak? So I went to the Maharishi's ashram to learn meditation. I didn't know the Beatles were in India. I got to the gate. I've come to learn meditation. Sorry, the ashram's closed because the Beatles and their wives are here. And so I waited outside the gate for 8 days to get in, not to meet them. It was not good news they were there. You know, have you had a heartbreak?
Yes, of course.
Most people have. It's devastating when it happens. So the Beatles was not of interest to me. I was trying to deal with the heartbreak, and I was hoping that meditation would do that.
Okay, so eventually you got a chance to interact with them, and you actually, can you tell us one of the stories about how it impacted your life?
Oh, sure. So I finally got in. I learned meditation. It took 3 minutes. I did a half-an-hour meditation. It was an absolute miracle.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
I did a half-an-hour meditation.
Okay.
I knew nothing about meditation, mysticism, none of that. I was 24 years old. And within a 30-minute meditation, the knife in the heart was gone, the agony in the head, the heartbreak was healed, in effect.
Okay.
And then I just walked out of the meditation room, and I wasn't even thinking of the Beatles, and I was so relieved, and I was walking along. The ashram was small, but a quarter of a mile by quarter of a mile. And I saw John and Paul sitting over by the edge of the cliff, and I walked over, and there were all the 4 Beatles and their wives, and Donovan and Mia Farrow. The most life-changing interactions were with George and John. So one day everyone was sitting by this table at the cliff, and I had joined their group. They just kind of took me into their group, which was very dear. And they were amazing. They were like 4 brothers in a family, and you could tell that the partners of the wives were close, but next circle out from the 4 of them. And there was no star stuff, no arrogance, no ego, funny, playful, kind.
So what happened to change you?
So one day George and I were sitting alone, and he said, I'm just going to go practice the sitar. Do you want to come? I didn't even think of getting my camera. And after he played, after he practiced, we had a conversation now. And the key thing he said to me, and this was, he was 24 and I was 24, and a man of unbelievable humility, so down to earth, so centered, like otherworldly for a 24-year-old. And he said, like we're the Beatles after all, aren't we? We have all the money you could ever dream of. We have all the fame you could ever wish for. But it isn't love, it isn't health, it isn't peace inside, is it? And that changed my life.
That's amazing.
Never forgot that.
The book is obviously available, and I know that there's all kinds of different packages and all the photos as well. If you go to your website, thebeatlesinindia.com, definitely life-changing. And we appreciate your time here today, Paul Saltzman. I'll hold up the book so people can see it. There you go. It's The Beatles in India. We appreciate your time, Paul. BeatlesinIndia.com. More tea time coming up in moments.